Hello and welcome into the Remix. I'm Anna Myler. It's been one of the biggest dramas on TV for years, and now CBS and Paramount's Blue Bloods is starting its final season. Donnie Wahlberg is one of its biggest stars, and that's why his brother, Chef Paul Wahlberg, wanted to get in on the fun by creating recipes to match up with the show.
Blue Bloods is known for its iconic dinner scenes, and today, Donnie's brother, Chef Paul Wahlberg, is creating recipes for fans of the show to make on their own, and that includes a recipe for classic roast beef. It already smells delicious, but we're gonna stay focused. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure, absolutely.
So now, when this idea of creating recipes inspired by the show was brought to you, what made you want to be a part of honoring the Reagan's family legacy?
Well, it's so, you know, obviously it's such an iconic part of the show, that family dinner, the Sunday dinner, everybody sitting down, enjoying that time together. And that's reminiscent of how we grew up, because Sunday dinner was such a huge piece to our life.
And we know dinner, you know, is always more than just the food. It's the sitting down, it's the
Yep.
talking about your day, it's the catching up. It's always the neutral spot that gets everyone to just kind of speak and just
I like that neutral spot piece, yes.
let that guard down over
Yes.
some good food. It's always a good
absolutely.
idea. Now, do the Reagan family dinners, do they remind you a little bit of your own family dinners growing up?
Absolutely. You know, sitting down on Sunday for dinner, you know, as a family was a huge part of our lives. And it was one of those days where it was family only, right? You could have friends during the week, you could eat at someone's house during the week, but on Sunday, everybody was home, you had that there, and those meals that we were able to have, you know, just the best parts. And I'm such a big leftover guy. I knew what was going to come on Monday and Tuesday and maybe Wednesday, depending on what we were having. So I was very excited by that, because food has always been such a huge part of our lives.
And because if you know, you know, it's always better the next day.
Always better.
Always better. Okay, guys, obviously, so your brother Donnie is one of the stars on the show. Did he have any input into the recipes?
You know what? I thought about Donnie, I thought about the whole family when we were talking about doing these recipes, because, again, it's that thing. But I also thought about the Reagan family, and you look down, you see them, how they're enjoying their meals and all of the different pieces. So it was kind of a lot of things that we really wanted to kind of tie together.
Okay. Now, you know, we've got the foundation down, but we cannot ignore this food any longer.
Yep.
Let's get into what is on the table.
So what we did for the first episode we're going to do is the classic roast beef dinner. And we've done a little bit of a twist on it. We have some roasted red bliss potatoes with a little bit of bacon, some onions, and some herbs. We've got some carrots that are fingerling carrots that are sauteed in butter with green beans, some parsley, a little bit of chicken stock, just really beautiful flavors and super simple to do at home. And it's one of those things that you can actually stage and get different parts done. So it's not that big, full, trying to execute all at once during that day on Sunday.
Now, someone could see this and be intimidated by this. So if they're trying to stage it and take their time and be able to present it, about how long do you think it would take to get all this together? Because it looks amazing.
You can do it in a couple of hours, but like you said, a couple of hours these days are very precious and very difficult to kind of group together. So being able, like if you cut potatoes on Saturday and get that started, get your beef prepped and ready on Saturday, and all of the different pieces, you get your green beans, all of that stuff. These can get blanched ahead. Some boiling water, it's in the recipe, you'll find all of that. And that what you can do is take that and do that the day before and kind of gear up. And when you have a little bit of time, get some stuff, or do it early in the morning, enjoy your afternoon, and then as everybody comes in, then you start finishing.
Okay, we've got to ask about the gravy, because this is what I smelled as soon as I walked in.
Yep, absolutely. And the gravy is the best part as far as I'm
You
concerned,
know it.
because you can put gravy on everything. Absolutely.
Yes.
So this is a pan gravy that we make when we, you know, it's in, like I said, in the recipe, where we roast up all those vegetables, get a beautiful caramelization on them, get some red wine in there, some stock, and bring that down, and then puree it all together. And then it's that beautiful finish for this beautiful beef.
Okay, so I think that we need to get in here and start tasting some things, because we've learned about it.
Yeah.
We learned how long it takes. We talked about the gravy. Now we need to get in there. Where should I start?
Absolutely. I'm going to slice this beef, which has been resting. And again, all of these recipes are available, you know, on the website. You can go to Wahlburgers, and it'll also be on Instagram. And so you can find all of this stuff.
Oh, I love this. Look how tender it is. Oh,
And this is, and that's, again, at the end of the day, it's the important part of, like, you know, doing everything and showing respect to all of the different ingredients. Now, you said you like gravy, so we will make sure we get extra.
Now, you and I were bonding over that. Gravy is good on everything. The next day, it'll change your life. Okay.
And some silverware for you.
Yes, now the tricky part here will be me not making a mess.
Oh, it's okay. It's food.
That's what we say now until this is all over me, and then we're laughing together. Okay. Wait, I'm gonna put this here. This tastes just as good as it looks.
Awesome.
So good. Think I'm done for the day, guys. I'm taking my leftovers and I'm going home.
Excellent. Well, that's a great way to finish the day.
No, I just want to make sure one more time for people who want to find the recipes or maybe they want to come out and visit you. How do we do that? Because they're seeing that and now they want to know more.
So you can go to the Wahlberg's webpage, and you can also go to Instagram, and we'll have this every week. We will drop a new recipe to tie into the show. And so it's an opportunity for you to sit down, watch the show, eat the meal, and really kind of enjoy yourself. And it's like I said, for such an iconic show, and for that thing, one of those connective pieces with the Sunday dinner, that people get to sit down and see it all, and to be part of the Reagan family dinner, that's pretty special.
Yes, and hold on to those recipes. You can impress some folks. We're getting closer and closer to the holidays. This is just great timing.
Excellent, excellent.
Chef Paul Wahlberg, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Be sure to tune in to part 2 of the final season of Blue Bloods, Friday nights at 10 on WBZ.
She's accomplished more at the age of 10 than most adults, and this young author also has her own podcast. Brianna Pitts introduces us to Amelie Anastasia.
Well, joining us now is Amelie Anastasia, a 10-year-old author of 3 children's books, Foxtails, Foxtails 2, and Wolf Tales. Amelie, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a delight to be here.
Oh, we're so excited to have you on the bouncy couch, you pointed out. All right, you wrote your first book, Foxtails, when you were just 8 years old. How did you come up with the idea for that?
Well, I think that the most inspirational part of my life that led me to do what I do was when a family of foxes moved in right next to our house and grew up, and I wanted to show the world.
Wow, so you watched little baby foxes grow up right in your backyard?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that is incredible. Okay, why do you believe that kids need to share stories more than ever before? Why is that important?
Because only 3 out of 10 children now love to write and read on their spare time. And in a year, the population of children who actually love to do that has dropped by 50%. And I want to bring writing back. I want it to be a great way to spend your free time.
Okay, so next question here. You've also created this podcast to empower young voices. It's called What's Up, Young Authors. Tell us about that. You're not only writing books, now you're doing a podcast too?
Well, What's Up, Young Authors is a podcast about where I promote other young authors like me and inspire them to use their power for a greater good, and I talk about the process of how they published and promoted and illustrations and things.
How cool. Something for younger kids to look up to and kind of maybe follow in your footsteps. So your books really focus on animal welfare, wildlife conservation. What sorts of things will young readers learn from reading these books?
That's a great question. In Foxtails 1, we learned that unlikely friendships between foxes and humans and really everyone can soon become friends or even family. In Foxtails 2, we learned that family is always so important, even when they can be a little annoying sometimes.
That is a good life lesson. Okay, and I want to point out I do have my Foxtails bracelet that you gave me, so thank you so much. That is so adorable. What are some tips that you would give for kids who maybe watch this and they want to write too, but they just don't know where to start?
Well, I would say definitely try to journal a good amount every day. Taking those small steps helps to reach up farther and become an accomplished author. Also, reading work by other young authors and watching podcasts like mine, What's Up, Young Authors. And my last thing would be join a camp or a club that is focused on literature and really listen.
Totally. And I think the other thing too, which you just did, was you went outside or observed what was happening in nature too, right? And it sounds like that can be really inspirational as well. Where are those foxes, by the way? Did they leave your backyard?
We don't know where they are.
Okay, I'm sure they grew up to be happy, healthy foxes. Another question for you. Where can people find your books and find your podcast?
Well, you can find my books and my podcast, What's Up Young Authors, on my website, www.amelieanastasia.com.
Okay, author Amelie Anastasia, thank you so much for coming in here. We are so excited for you to join us.
Thank you so much for having me.
When we come back on the remix, the husband and wife duo, their new album, and their amazing musical love story created online. Boston Band is asking its audience to rock the vote this weekend. Chadwick Stokes and Brad Corrigan from the band Dispatch are playing at the MGM Music Hall at Fenway this weekend. It's part of the band's Amplifying Democracy campaign, which is meant to leverage the power of music to inspire, activate, and boost civic engagement. The band has many hits like Out Loud and Flying Horses, a tribute to the carousel on Martha's Vineyard. But right now, they're on a political mission during this critical election year.
A vote is so important to us that everyone goes out and does it and that we own our place in democracy. But I think just to be in front of that many people, it's like, come on, let's do
just
this.
A little encouragement. You know, music can be like that nice gateway, so we can slide in some. Don't forget to vote. And we've been in Ohio and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, so some states that really are so crucial. And I feel like people know that in these states, and it's cool. But we also have, you know, our crowd isn't necessarily indicative of the state as a whole, but it is music's a nice way to kind of try to fire people up.
The band plans to release new music next spring. In the meantime, Brad created his own documentary about a young girl and her struggle in Nicaragua. And Chad is taking on a rock opera about women's reproductive rights. Well, when it comes to powerful songs about love and loss, not many can compete with the band Flora Cash. The husband and wife duo live in Sweden, and as Penny Commit shows us, their love story plays a big role in their emotional music.
Soulmate, 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 won't you dance here with me while it grows late?
It's a love story that started online.
It started on SoundCloud. Like, I was looking for some music to just get inspired or to listen to, and I found Cole's music on there, and I thought it was amazing.
Spressa lived in Sweden after fleeing war-torn Kosovo, while Cole was in Minneapolis.
I saw her comments and listened to her music, and then I thought, oh my gosh, it would be awesome to collaborate. And you know, even at that time, like long distance collaboration, it was very possible, and a lot of people were doing it kind of. So I was like, we can send files back and forth to each other.
And their bond grew from there, musically and emotionally.
Then you came to Minneapolis.
I flew there and we met, and we've been together ever since.
The pair married in 2013.
I hear someone else, so now you're making me nervous.
4 years later, the couple known as Flora Cash reached a global audience with their hit You're Somebody Else. The duo has had a number of tours and acclaimed records since. And now they are set to release their next album on October 24th, Behind Every Beautiful Thing.
And we have so many new songs that, like, I mean, now the hard thing is actually narrowing down a set list, which is kind of fun.
Just do 5 hours. Okay.
Flora Cash are now parents, but hope to get back out on tour soon.
And she seems to love traveling more than we do. So the plan is to kind of to first do a kind of a smaller tour, a little bit closer to home.
And maybe even bring their sound of love to Boston.
Boston is a cool town.
Penny Commit, WBZ News.
When we come back, lost youth, kids, and social media. A pediatrician breaks down tips for parents on how to cope with the issue of phones. Phones are in everyone's hands almost all the time, but should they be in the hands of kids? Doctors, psychologists, and parents are learning more and more that they shouldn't be. Paula Evans sat down with a local pediatrician to talk about tips for parents on when and how to deal with it.
We're joined now by Dr. Robyn Riseberg, the founder of Boston Community Pediatrics. Thanks so much for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
To talk about a subject that I think really stresses parents out, and they don't know what to do about it. A lot of studies now showing the effects of technology on children. And right off the bat, what do you think we're learning sort of in the fallout from now having this technology for a couple of decades?
Yeah, I mean, I think we now know the dangers, right? We know that all of this technology can be really positive and it can be really negative. We know it contributes to anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
We know it, has a role in bullying. We know that it has a lot of negative effects, and there are some positive effects as well, right?
That's part of the problem. I feel as though families have kind of been we've been like frogs boiling and, from the room temperature water to boiling, where so much of the early technology was, isn't this exciting? And this is great. And you can use it for school and you can learn so much more. But then with the advent of smartphones and apps, now we're finding children as small as 1 truly addicted.
Yes.
I mean, you'll see little toddlers in public and, I see them with their parents. They want that iPhone. It's their favorite toy.
Yeah.
So what is your advice to parents now when they see that their child is truly addicted to social media?
Yeah, so I think it's never too late to make change, right? And so kids have to play. Kids have to explore their environment, and their environment is not a phone. Right? Their environment is what's going on in the world around them, playgrounds, and, even going back to what we used to do with Tupperware and, wooden spoons in the kitchen and things like that. We have, I feel like in many ways, really forgotten how to play and how to interact with each other. And so, it's also the parents' responsibility to put their phones down.
Yeah, that's true. This has become the problem. I forget who said it, but play is the work of childhood, right? Yeah. And the hard part now is, I remember my parents' generation constantly saying, turn off the television.
Yes,
and truly, they only watched the television for a few hours, probably in the evening, for news or whatever programming. But it wasn't a constant.
Yep.
The hard thing is now the newspaper's on your phone. Your music's on your phone.
Right.
All your information, your email. So parents are on it for adult reasons, so much more than children need to be on it. It's hard for parents to say, don't be like me. You can't have this device in your hand all the time. So if you are somebody who works from home and you're on your devices all the time, what's the best way to put it to a child? I'm the adult, you're a child, you shouldn't be on this all the time.
Right, and we shouldn't either.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
And so I think it's a little bit of, we have to model that behavior, right? So if meal times are times that
it's got to go away.
Everyone puts their phone
I know some
away.
families have a bowl.
Right. Yeah.
Right, and all the devices go in the bowl.
Yeah. Or just saying this is going to be a time that we're not going to be on our phone. This is going to be a time, bedrooms, right? Before bed, I think that's a time. And then also, I think it's really parents' responsibility to say, what is your child doing on the phone? Right? Because if they're really reading an article, maybe that's okay. If they are doom scrolling, that's probably not okay. Or if they're getting into apps and other, content that is not safe, dangerous, harmful, then that's something that we really, as parents, need to know about.
In terms of peer pressure, this is the worst part of everybody else has one.
Yes.
And everybody else is on Instagram. If I were the child and you were my parent, what is it that you say to a child, for instance, under 13, about why that's not good for them?
Right. Well, I mean, I think we have to talk about what's good for their brains and brain development. And 12 and 13-year-old kids don't care about brain development, right? And so I think it is really about having rules in your family and sticking to them.
Tell us more about your organization and how it helps lower income families in Boston.
Yeah, so Boston Community Pediatrics has been around for almost 4 years, and we are the first nonprofit pediatric private practice in Massachusetts and one of the first in the country, and really created to bring equity to pediatric healthcare. What we have done is created a pediatric practice that is more than what people think of when they think of traditional healthcare, because we have on-site mental health clinicians who are available to come in to pediatric visits, talk with parents, talk with kids right in that moment that they might be experiencing something.
Huge.
And then we have a whole team of care navigation and wellness a whole care navigation wellness department who's helping families with all the social determinants of health and bringing activities that are equitable to our patients. So we have a cooking class where we send food to families ahead of time that always center a fruit or a vegetable, and then kids cook on Zoom and in person. And we can have as many as like 40 families cooking, and then kids are serving their parents and their families a meal. And so we have a reading group, we have a tutoring program, and it's all in this beautiful space. Our providers really connect with families, so they have more time with our visits are longer. People have more time to spend together. We've really created this community.
Well, Dr. Robyn Riseberg, thanks so much. Great to meet you.
Great to meet you too.
And
Thanks
parents,
so much.
it's okay to say no.
Absolutely.
That's our biggest takeaway.
Yes, kids want rules.
They do. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for joining us.
Still to come on the Remix, there's still time to celebrate National Hispanic Heritage Month, the Boston restaurant's signature drink, and how it's benefiting charity.
We're starting off with a few dashes of our house-made spicy bitters. Going in with some Velvet Falernum, which is a candied lime and almond tiki liqueur.
Those are the ingredients to the Spicy Dead Lady, one of the signature cocktails at Borrachito in Boston's Seaport District. And aside from being really tasty, it's also serving a greater purpose. This year, Borrachito is one of several local restaurants celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month by giving back. Some of the proceeds from each signature cocktail go to Sociedad Latina, a nonprofit organization that helps foster the next generation of Latino leaders. Owner Gavin Mosley tells us that highlighting different cultures is one of his favorite ways of connecting with the community.
We decided to feature the Spicy Dead Lady because it embodies the Hispanic culture. It's a little heat, it's a little spice, it's a little fun, it's got a lot of character, so it just made a lot of sense. And it's really, really tasty. We do a bunch of those give backs throughout my whole company. We give, whether it's partnering with local youth sports teams, or in Boston, the Boston Children's Hospital, or this month. It's super important to kind of to give back, because that's how you build community. And we want people coming in constantly ordering the Spicy Dead Lady. And then we also want to give back to the community as well.
Hispanic Heritage Month officially ended a few days ago, but there's definitely still time to celebrate through October. Thank you for joining us on The Remix. We'll be back next week for more lifestyle, community, and entertainment news.